The way I thought about the sculpture and how it fits into Cambridge was really to look at the site and see how the thing that I make might reflect some of my interests, but also interests of the area. Here's this town which is famous as a university town and has this nice proximity and relationship to London. And the station is a sort of strange kind of symbol of the relationship that it has to London. There's a lovely myth about the fact that the station has been put separate from the town because the students were supposed to not be sneaking back into London. One of the first things I noticed was that the station itself is this sort of Romanesque colonnade. When I see a series of arches in this way, and then I see this idea of a square or a social space in front of it, I immediately found myself going to this artist, Giorgio de Chirico, who famously painted many, many times this white colonnade with a piazza. I got really drawn into this reclining figure that's in the paintings. It did strike me as being interesting to look at the idea of covering up a reclining female, abandoned on a plinth in the middle of a square. In a way, it's a kind of archetype of sculpture, like a blurred vision of a public sculpture. One of the most amazing things about public sculptures is that quite quickly, when you live with a sculpture all the time, it becomes invisible. I spend a lot of time thinking about this idea of inside and outside, this idea of how people come to see a sculpture, what's already in their head. In many ways, public sculpture could be taken as a lamppost, or it could be taken as a bin on the street. Certainly, sometimes you look at something and you go, wow. I really like it actually if I look at a sculpture and go, huh? I've kind of ended up blending together a series of other works that I'd made by wrapping sculptures. And then I've cast it in bronze and I've painted it to look like here's this wrapped up sculpture waiting to go on a train or waiting to kind of be delivered to somewhere else. Almost like kind of chrysalis, protected from interpretation almost. And yet this is the sculpture. And then you start the process of unwrapping in your head as you come into a kind of focus and consciousness of the object. Even if it was open, even if you could see it, was in some ways already actually wrapped. It was wrapped in history, it was wrapped in context, it was wrapped in time. In many ways, I kind of pride myself on being something of a surrealist. You know, there's a sort of sense of magic, there's a sense of trying to use things that people might recognize and then twist them up and represent them in a way that is slightly disconcerting. It's absolutely amazing to have this opportunity to put my sculpture now into a public space. It's almost like making a reality of something which I dreamt up through looking at a painting, which is a painting of a dream. And now I'm making it a reality. And that, for me, is my dream.